Your name, the spelling, and your age.
My name is Maria Gomez, and it's Mariagomez, and I am 33 years old.
And your profession?
I am a special day teacher for LAUSD. I work with children with autism, moderate to severe.
What's the name of the school where you work?
I work at Glenwood Elementary in Sun Valley, California.
So this is about budget cuts. Has it affected your school in any way so far?
Actually, it has. The next year, there's going to be 5 less teachers at my school. These are general ed teachers, and there's going to be less aides. For my class, which is moderate to severe, we have 8 students. Usually you would have 2 baselines, and I'm going to have 1 baseline. Baseline is the aide in the classroom that does everything, like the teacher's assistant. So I'm going to have 1 baseline, and then they're also cutting services for the students, like speech services for the kids that are not able to talk. A lot of the speech teachers are going to be gone, so one teacher is going to have about 12 schools, so they're going to be doing less assessments, less teacher consultations, less observations. They're also cutting OT, which is occupational therapy, so the same thing's going to happen.
How's that going to affect the kids?
Most of the kids with autism that have moderate to severe disabilities, because they have so many deficits cognitively, they don't have the, for example, for OT, they don't have the muscle tone that you would expect for a kid that is a neurotypical child. So to access the curriculum, a lot of the kids with autism, not all of them, but the very severe ones, are not able to hold writing utensils. They're not able to use a lot of their gross motor skills or fine motor skills. So, a lot of the stuff in the school is like, how to use their writing utensils, how to use art utensils, even how to walk along the school campus. That's all the stuff that the OT does. APE, for example, a lot of the kids, because of their deficits, are not able to have the muscle mass as their neurotypical peers. So some of them can't really walk like a typical kid. So all these services really help them access the curriculum. For speech, for example, the speech therapist that I have, because she had, a normal size workload, like if I thought that a kid needed speech therapy, she was able to collaborate with me and tell me just little things that I could do in the classroom, and she's not going to be able to do that much next year. Observation for assessments, a lot of it is just observations, because although they give you all these surveys to fill out, you don't really know who the kid is until you observe them. So, a lot of those things are going to be gone. So a lot of kids are going to be left without services or with minimal services in occasions when they would need a lot. And as far as the aides in the classroom, because the kids in my class are so severe, I really sometimes need aides for example, like behavior. Sometimes the kids have like breakdowns and they get really violent and then they get really aggressive. And so it's really helpful to have a lot of adults there, because it gives me a chance to address whatever that behavior is and have the kids either be distracted or be taken somewhere else with supervision while I handle the one kid. But also a lot of the kids, because they're on IEPs and they need specific treatments or specific things to help them, for example, writing. I need someone to trace things in the classroom. It's going to be really hard for me to be able to do that. And it's nice to have someone to do that for me so that I could do the other stuff, like observe how he holds a pencil, for example. So I'm kind of scared that next year I'm going to have all of this work and I'm not going to be able to delegate anybody to help me with it. I have to write these IEPs for students. And
what's an IEP?
An IEP is it stands for Independent Educational Plan. So I have to address their reading needs, their math needs, vocational ed, all of these things. The IEP actually takes me about 4 to 6 hours to make for each kid, and it's once a year. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that and individualize the learning that these kids need, and at the same time have to manage the students, have to manage the day, have to observe. I don't know how that's going to happen if I don't have the help.
How many people are they cutting?
For my classroom right now, we're 6 adults to 8 students, and next year it's going to be with me 3 adults and possibly 12 students, because they're also upping the amount of kids that you can have in the classroom. So for moderate to severe, the cutoff was 9. Next year it's going to be 14. So because they're closing all these classrooms, the classrooms that they're going to keep open are going to be filled with kids. It's going to be just 3 of us for 12 students.
I remember you said something like you were worried that you wouldn't have a job next year.
Yeah.
Is that still accurate? Or you?
Luckily, I still have a job next year, but I do have friends that have been cut from their positions, and because they signed contracts, they're going to be placed. And they're probably going to be placed in like South Central or Watts, like schools where nobody wants to work.
So their contract says they still have to work. It didn't necessarily say where.
Right. And then I have friends, for example, Tristan, one of my oldest friends, and she's been teaching for like 5 years, and she doesn't have a job. She didn't work all of last year because there was no jobs for her. She was looking for jobs, but LAUSD said that all of the jobs that they had were filled. I don't know what she's doing now, but she's not working as a teacher.
So I read in the LA Times that they were sending out about 4,000 letters. They were going to let thousands of teachers go.
I think it's really sad because now for next year, there's going to be like 32 kids at least in the 4th and 5th grade for one teacher. It is really difficult to give each kid exactly what they need because every kid learns differently and every kid needs different things. How is that one teacher going to cram everything that they need, and there's going to be 32 children? And these are not going to be perfectly behaved 32 kids. And for Los Angeles, we have a lot of the kids that don't really speak the language or they're second language learners. These students that are second language learners need even more intensive teacher time. That's not going to happen for them. And the other thing that LAUSD is doing that is really unfair is that now they're going to make it, and they've been doing this for a while, they have something called the CSTs, which are the California State Test that they do every year. So you get a score, and then also the schools get an API score, right? Which is the score that says that if you're a good school or a bad school, if your kids test really low on math and English, then your scores are low. The kids score low because they're not getting what they need. So now they're saying that there's going to be a teacher performance indicator. So if your kids score low on the scores, then you're going to be seen like a bad teacher. How is this teacher going to be a bad teacher if she has 32 kids that she has to tend to? We also have a pacing plan. There's certain units we have to meet at a certain time because of the testing. Sometimes we don't have time. If the kids didn't get whatever they didn't get, that's it. You just have to keep going. So how is a teacher going to do that with 32 kids in her classroom? It's not going to be doable.
Yeah.
It's not doable now. So all these teachers are going to be so afraid of not scoring awesome for their students, and they're not going to have any help because they're also cutting all of the teachers' aides.
Do you know anything about tutoring? Are their tutoring programs being cut?
Also, the tutoring plans are being cut. I actually tutor children that are in the general ed population. I tutor them twice a week, and that's not going to happen next year because there's no money for tutoring. And the supplies are going to be going down. So the supplies that we get for our students, we're going to have to buy some of those supplies ourselves. So they're cutting supplies, they're cutting teachers, they're cutting aides, they're cutting programs, they're cutting people that come in and help. They're cutting everything.
Are they cutting your pay as well, or no?
No. The other way that it affects me is that, it's been proven that children with autism especially need to be around their neurotypical peers because kids learn better from other kids as far as socialization. Kids learn the language of the other kids. Kids learn how to act around kids, what's cool, what's not cool, what to say, all of that from other kids. Because there's going to be 32 kids in a classroom, I'm not going to be able to send my kids, who do need extra stuff, to a general ed classroom to experience what it's like to be with other kids. It's called mainstreaming. So I don't know how we're going to be able to mainstream our students if there's not going to be enough chairs in the general ed classrooms even.